Welcome to Hawaii Real. I am back with my buddy Nick Abramo. He is a sports writer for the Honolulu Star Advertiser, and he writes in the column HawaiiPrepWorld. And he's all about Hawaii high school sports, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, and now we're going to delve into a little bit of this esports, which is a new and up-and-coming thing, right?
Yes, it is.
Nick, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, Yale. Great to see you, buddy.
So you were just at the Billabong Pipe Masters yesterday, yeah?
Yeah, it was. It was an incredible day.
So what do you do when you go to these things, these events and stuff like that? What is your job? What do you do?
Well, the main job is to get the story, but there was about 15, I'm exaggerating, but 3 big storylines going on there. And they got ticked off as the time went by. There was a Triple Crown champion was named. Then there was the Olympic spot between John Florence and Kelly Slater had to be won. And then the World Championship came about. So I was there to observe that and write about it for the next day's paper. But as I was watching, I had to do breaking news for the web. And so I had to update it those 3 times.
Yeah. What was the breaking news?
The first one was Kelly Slater won the Triple Crown title, which is the best overall surfer in the 3 season-ending events. And then the second one was John Florence beat out Slater for the second U.S. team Olympic spot. And the third one...
This is the first year that surfing is going to be in the Olympics, yeah?
Yeah, next year, 2020, in Tokyo. And the third one was... Italo Ferreira of Brazil won the world title.
So how do you think that whole surfing and the Olympics thing is going to go? Have you looked into that? Like, are they going to surf? Where do you surf in Tokyo?
I haven't looked closely at the venue, but I know that there is surfing there because there's a pro surfer, Kanoa Igarashi. Sounds like a local boy, right?
Yeah.
He's on the world tour, and there's places, but it's not world famous. Surf breaks.
No, it's not.
Like Hawaii.
Yeah. So how long have you been a writer for the Star Advertiser?
I've been working for the Star Bulletin before the Star Advertiser since 2000.
Oh, wow. So about 20 years now.
Right.
Okay.
And before that, I was on the mainland, so I've been in the business close to 40 years.
Doing journalism or what? Doing something else?
Yeah. Mostly writing, but some editing as well.
Okay.
And that's a whole different ball game, but you're still in the same building, and you just don't get your name out there as much.
Yeah, I was reading one of your articles. Actually, you posted a lot of articles on the upcoming St. Louis Crusaders game that's going to happen tomorrow on Saturday in the mainland in Las Vegas. There,
right?
That Geico Bowl.
Right.
Do you have any predictions on that?
Oh, I think it's going to be a good game because St. Louis is really, really good.
But they haven't been playing in it's been 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, November 29th was the state championship game.
Okay, yeah, it's almost 3 weeks.
And but I think they'll be ready. I haven't gone out to practice, but we've had some reporters out there at practice, and they're taking it seriously, and they're ranked it's 6th, I think, in one of the national polls, and the other team is St. Thomas Aquinas from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and they're ranked 3rd in the national poll, and it's deserving. They've beaten some good teams, and St. Louis has one of their best teams.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I think a lot of people in Hawaii are rooting for them. It's kind of like, when we send a team off to the World Series, the Little League World Series. It doesn't matter where in Hawaii you're from. You're representing Hawaii.
Right.
We're all rooting for you guys.
That's true. And Cal Lee, the coach, I was talking to him just probably 2 weeks ago, and he was like, well, just like Manti Te'o, when he went off, it wasn't just because he played for Punahou. He's representing Hawaii, and that's how he was hoping that people would look at this game. And a lot of people are. All the comments on the website and that we get back, go 808, represent.
Yeah, definitely. What else do we have going on here? The Iolani Classic, did you cover that?
I did not. We have another reporter, Paul Honda, that went to that, but there's a ton of talent that comes here every year. Guys like Rajon Rondo played in that years ago. Basketball, of all the sports, that's probably my least. Growing up, I didn't play it, and I know it, and I can cover it. But
you're kind of like a lot of hockey players. You either play hockey or you play basketball, and it's like if you play hockey, you don't really play basketball, and vice versa, because they're two completely different sports and different skill sets completely.
True, and in the winter, and I'm from the mainland, especially back then, you're either in a rink or outside playing street hockey, or you're in the gym, and nobody really did both then. But I think nowadays people do it more.
Mm-hmm. What did you play?
I played hockey and baseball.
Do you like any of those better than the other?
I like hockey way better.
Yeah.
But I think you knew that before you asked the question.
Yeah, I know
Probably.
Nick from hockey. I know Nick from hockey.
And
you're one of those avid hockey fans, because even like when I see you at the rink, you're not just there to socialize or do that or just play your own game. You actually go there and you watch other teams play and other divisions and stuff like that. So you're kind of like a true fan of the game.
Definitely more now than ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing because I do watch, and whenever I watch on TV or whenever I watch at the rink, I'm looking, oh, that's why they scored. Mm-hmm. And I'm a defenseman, as you know, and you can't always blame somebody, and it's not really a blame thing anyway, but there is a reason, that it broke down somehow, and it's, if you can figure it out, the next time it won't happen.
So you consider yourself like a student of the game, always trying to learn?
Right. Way more than when I was 18, 20, I just played. If someone said, hey, we got a men's game coming up, I'd be like, men's game? I'd rather go, out with my friends. And now, if you said to me right now, let's go play, I'd say, let's go play.
And I'm getting to that age where I'm just like, do we have to go play? It's kind of hard.
Well, it's a little tougher for goalies.
It is. It is. I wish hockey was a bigger sport here in Hawaii, because roller hockey here, the kids that do play and that have grown up playing, and the ones that are there learning to play roller hockey now in Kiha, they're good. And it's because they practice all the time. So it's like they're going to the mainland and they're winning tournaments and stuff like that. It's like, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you're from Hawaii, you can still be great at hockey, or different sports.
I know they're phenomenal in some ways. Like Preston. I mean, Preston Suikawa, everybody knows him. I mean, there's a few more like him too, but it's not just him. There's a lot of people that are getting enjoyment out of the game, and it's a sad thing to me that everybody in the world as a kid can't play. If they never got a chance to play hockey, I feel bad for them. But it's not bad, just, oh man, they could have had an opportunity to play what I feel is the most fun game in the world. And, there is an opportunity we could get it into the schools. I think if there was a concerted effort, but it'd be a while. And
the hard part with that is there's only like one rink.
Right.
So no matter if you have all the schools playing, like, they'll all have to go to that one rink to practice and go to that one rink to play.
But maybe, since it's on the west side, if there was a few private schools over there, say, even at the middle school level, get 4 or 5 private schools just as a test, and then you could use them as ambassadors to move on to the other schools to show them exactly how much fun they're having. But, we're getting to the point where, not everybody in the world loves hockey like we do.
No, not everybody. Some people like soccer.
Exactly, yeah. And lacrosse.
Hey, lacrosse is badass, man.
I know.
I'm actually taking a really good liking to lacrosse. And I think in the Hawaii Prep News or Hawaii Prep World, you guys had an article on high school lacrosse last year, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we're about to start up again. And we're trying to expand, so we're actually talking to like Mid-Pac and possibly Kamehameha to try to get the ILH to have enough teams to sanction it as a
real sport. Yeah, a real sanctioned varsity sport.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think it should be, because there's no reason why we can't have lacrosse here. I mean, we have the weather for it. We have the fields for it. We have like the kids for it. Like, why not?
And especially the funding. I mean, and it's not as expensive as hockey, but they could come up with funding for that. Mm-hmm. It's not much more than soccer or
it's cheaper than football for sure.
Right. That'd be a great sport, and I wish you luck with that. And if you get something a little more, like if it grows this year, is what I'm trying to say. Give me a call, or have the organizer give me a call. We might be able to get another article out there on how you guys are doing.
All right, I'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually jumping on the council now, so I'm in charge of their marketing and stuff like that. So you'll be hearing from me, Nick.
You're an organizer.
I'm an organizer.
But yeah. And part of the problem, if I wouldn't be able to do it, is because we are a high school website. But that's why I was able to do it, because
we have high school teams,
right?
Yeah.
And so if it's geared on that end,
sure,
it shouldn't be a problem.
Nice. Okay, definitely get you involved in that, because we want to get more like people reading about it, seeing it, and realizing that hey, this sport is out there and it is spreading across the islands. Because we have teams on the Big Island too. So
right. Oh, awesome. And it's just one more sport that a kid will have a chance to do, rather than nothing or drugs or
you went there. You went straight to the drugs,
right? Or whatever's.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah. Nope.
Play sports, but sports are a good outlet for kids to give off their energy and learn about teamwork and learn about failure and stuff like that and success. So I'm always pro sports. I always think that parents got to have their kids in something sporty,
And they can end up. A lot of them, you can end up doing it for the rest of your life, and you're going to stay healthy. I mean, that's the benefit. For as far as I'm concerned. Like one of my friends, my son's friends. He kind of asked one day, why do adults play sports? And I was like, well, I'll tell you why I do it. I mean, not only do I love the game, but I wake up the next day and I'm alive. My blood is flowing through my veins, and I have more energy. If I had been just sitting there, I wouldn't feel as good. It's just it's pretty simple.
Keeps you young.
And can help in that area.
As a goalie, I wake up in the morning feeling sore. It's like somebody hit me with a truck. But that's just being a goalie. Must not hurt that bad, because I get up and do it again every week, right?
Right. And you know what? You were 18 once too.
Yes, I was. But, good times. So HawaiiPrepWorld. You want to go into that and tell me, like, how did that get started and what's that all about?
Sure. It's a website. It's a high school sports website, and it's on the site itself. It says powered by the Star Advertiser. So basically, it's Star Advertiser sports reporters that all contribute to this endeavor. It started, interestingly enough, when we were going to be set with early deadlines on weekends, and we wouldn't have been able to get the football coverage in the paper the next day. So one of our staffers decided to create that site so we could have a place to put our high school football coverage. And what happened was the early deadlines only lasted for, say, a month or less, and but the website continued. That was 2009. And we've grown enormously since then, especially within the last 5 years or so. And it's a niche thing. It's high school sports, and so not every sports fan is going to go there, but people that are interested in high school sports. And high school sports is pretty big here.
Yeah, it is.
And another interesting thing about it, though, too, is in the old days, before the website, we would go out and cover a game, write up the game, and our job would be done. And that's, it sounds easy because I said it really, so casually. That's still tough. We do that, but now we, if there's anything really interesting from the game, we follow up with a story. Say if someone made a huge play, or if someone won a title for first time in a long time, we'll get it out on the website before the paper hits the street the next day. Right, like within an hour after the game or a half hour after the game. And it's kind of a labor of love. We give extra value to our readers by writing it, and we all enjoy doing it.
So you take a more journalistic approach to it now, or with those games?
In the sense that there's more to write about than just the game. Way back in a big story, say a UH game, and still today at a UH game, there'll be a story and then there'll be a sidebar, they call it, like something else happening. Well, now we kind of write the sidebar before the paper story comes out, and we just we're ahead of it, the way news is nowadays. We want to get things out there fast.
It's almost real time kind of thing.
Right. And another thing we do is a live blog of a lot of the games, a lot of the high school games, so people can see what's going on if Pearl City's playing Kaimoki.
Now, do you guys have enough writers and bloggers to go to like all the games that are playing like during the season? Like a basketball season, do you guys go to every high school varsity basketball game?
Great question. Football, I know you asked about basketball, but football, there'll be... Sometimes there's 7 or 8 games on a night or more. We send somebody to just about all of those. Sometimes it'll only be 3 or 4. For basketball, we pick the top games and go to what we can get to. There's so many games that would never be able to get them all.
Is that the same with like the other sports like soccer, baseball?
Right. We try to get to the big games, and on the website we have updated standings and updated scores and results. People will send us the results and we'll get them out there. But towards the end of the season, we pick up heavily with each sport for the state tournament and for the playoffs. So if we're not catching them really a lot in the regular season, we make sure we get them then. And a really interesting sport, we would have never known this, but we knew a guy, one of our staffers, he's from upstate New York. And one day he's like, oh, how come we don't cover wrestling?
Oh, yeah, it's big up there in the Northeast.
So, yeah, you're right. It is. And say like the Midwest and stuff. So with the website, we've experimented with it way back, and now we cover it really good. And we're the only people that cover it. And it turns out it's number 2 behind football as far as our readers go.
Really?
Because it's such a niche. They're not going to find it anywhere, so they know they can go there. And if you're a wrestler, your brother's a wrestler, your sister's a wrestler, your dad was a wrestler. No, the whole family, your auntie. And then it's such a tight-knit thing.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because my brother is the head coach at Mililani for wrestling.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
But I'm not a wrestler, sorry. So.
Right. It's such a great sport, though.
Yeah.
I actually love to cover it. I didn't think I would, but I do.
Very cool. Yeah, and I know because like wrestling kind of leads on to, as kids like finish high school and stuff like that, get into like MMA and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, and they have like this wrestling competitive wrestling background. So that's kind of where some of the popularity comes in. Right.
There is a lot of that. There's been people that have moved on, like Elima McFarlane, who's fighting this weekend, was Mililani. I don't know if I got the name right, because there's so many names that come across. That's it, I think. But yeah, you're right. And not only that, if you think about any sort of practice, like a football practice, if there's a guy that plays football and wrestling, every single time he'll say, wrestling practice is so much tougher. So
they work hard.
If you get through that, it's just going to set you up for life in a way. And another interesting thing about wrestling, all the coaches really appreciate it. Not that other people don't, but they'll come up and say, "Hey, look, man, we're so glad you do this." But that what also happens. I heard that like if you coach, say you're a coach at Leilehua High School, and you move to Ohio, and someone hears you say you were a wrestling coach, they'll say, "You want to help my team?" Because they know you're a wrestler, and it's like it's kind of a badge of honor.
You kind of already have that shoe in kind of thing if you've already done wrestling as a coach.
Right.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. So when you got started in writing, like, how would you, I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, how would someone get into sports writing and get into like writing for HawaiiPrepWorld or the Star Advertiser? Like, how does that happen? Someone coming out of high school or coming out of college?
Great question. And I heard you ask that to our good friend Scott Humber with Hawaii News Now, and he had some good answers too. I've tried to talk to my son about it, and I'm not trying. I was never trying to push him towards that, but he did say, "Oh, maybe I'll go into journalism." And the thing that I can't get across to him is how easy it would be if you put your effort into it. But besides that, we have a few examples. There's a boy that he's probably about 22 now. He was a real go-getter. He came in, he wanted to be a writer, and he listened, and he had taken journalism classes. And then he went out and he asked questions. He said, "Oh, how do I do this? How do I do that?" And he went out and now he just got a TV job as a producer, which is you go out and you find stories, I guess. Because we didn't have a position full-time, but he never, some people come in and they think they know it all, and that's what you don't want to do. You want to come in, you want to learn everything, and if you know sports, that's going to help. Give the people what they want. Give the bosses what they want. I don't know if I should say bosses, but the people that are assigning you stories. If you work hard, you can do it.
Is it just, do they just go out and start writing and then they start submitting that kind of stuff? Or how do you build a resume for that?
Right. That's a double-edged sword, I guess. But I think there's a certain amount of training that people could get in high school or college where you know how to put a couple sentences together.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
I mean, that is helpful. But then from there, I mean, I think I could take, if someone was going to listen, I could take somebody's writing and say, "Look, just do this and this and this," and then it would become easier.
Is there any like big changes going on now that everybody has cell phones and people are constantly looking at social media, YouTube, things of that nature, where we're kind of getting, as a society, kind of getting away from the newspaper and actually getting away sometimes from actually reading content? They want to see like video content of stuff. Like, are you guys tackling that, or is that something that's up and coming, or not even on your radar? What's going on?
Right. No, that's another super good question, because we are at the crossroads. People are still reading. People are reading the paper or the website or HawaiiPrepWorld, but they're also looking for video. They're also looking for something right now, which a newspaper can't give you right now. So right. We are heading, the new world is going to be, electronic. I'm not going to say that's going to be the death of newspapers. People have been saying that for quite a while now, and I guess it's still possible. But I think we are going to become more of a multimedia organization, or we won't exist. And we are, we do tons of videos in the news department and sports.
Because even like sports, you did an article back in October, I think, about the esports. And for those of you who don't know, esports is like, it's video games. It's high schoolers and college kids organizing together and competing against other schools' teams in like video games.
Right. Isn't that amazing?
It's totally amazing. I wish they had that when I was a kid, right? But it's becoming a thing now, and that's kind of the direction that, you know, some sports writers are going to have to go. They're going to have to get familiar with those video games and the players and figure out what makes those fans want to read their content or want to look at their content when they're following that kind of stuff, because it's huge. It's multi-million or billion dollars across the country.
And people are making money by being a gamer. Lots of money. I don't know what the figures are, but I do know. I don't know if sports writers would actually write on the game someday, but maybe they would. I really don't know. But for example, we cover air riflery when the state tournament comes or the league championships now. And basically what it is we're waiting for the winner and write about what the winner has to say and how good they thought they did and stuff.
Sure.
We don't have an expert going, that 32 caliber, whatever, and you know more about firearms than me. But so we don't get into the details of that. Same with bowling. Like, we don't know what makes the right pattern of oil on the lanes.
All right, because high schools do have bowling.
Right,
yeah.
And we cover that as well. But with esports, what I've been hearing from the coaches and things are it really benefits the kids to be involved, even with whatever it is. And if it's going to be a game, they're gonna bond just like any other team, and they're learning certain decision making skills along the way in an educational environment, which sounds funky in a way. It's like, yeah, sure, but
well, it's I guess it's the difference between playing that video game at home on your own by yourself versus playing that same video game in a room full of your teammates where you can see each other, you can talk to each other in real time, and you're still playing the same game. You're not only that, but you're a team and you're working against another team.
Right.
So it brings that whole teamwork aspect into it.
And your school.
And your school, a little bit of school pride there.
Right. And so it's coming. It's growing all the time. I haven't checked since that article, but they had started it 1 year before that. And this is the second go around. And it was just before they started, and it looked like it was going to be growth. I didn't check back to see what the actual growth is, but I think it's going to go and go and go.
Yeah, I haven't looked into that either, but I can tell you from the national model and the colleges that are giving scholarships to kids, like, it's a thing. Like, you're good at video games, you could get a scholarship to go to like an engineering school or something like that and play for, a school that nobody's ever heard of. But they're giving scholarships to kids to come over there and play video games and get a great education. And maybe after that, jump into like the video gaming profession, or building video games or testing them or something, and being a part of that.
Right. And I'm pretty sure you're aware of HPU has a really good one. I don't know if you have heard that, but they have a huge setup there, and they do give scholarships.
Yeah, I think you can rent out, like, you can have birthday parties there and stuff like that. Yeah.
Wow.
You can have like a birthday party, have like 6 of your friends go there and rent like all the machines and just like play Fortnite against each other or whatever.
NHL 20.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of esports, is that it's not just one video game.
Yeah.
It's a slew of video games of all different genres that could be involved in that. I think right now, and there's just the 3 games that they can play.
I forget what they are.
League of Legends. That's the big one.
Yeah.
And a couple others.
Rocket League.
That's it's like soccer. And you're in a car with afterburners on it, and you're trying to punch a ball into the goal.
Against the boards and into the net. I've played it with my son. He plays it. He used to play it all the time.
Yeah.
And then when it came out, he's a sophomore. When esports started as a freshman, I was like, buddy, you could be a varsity athlete.
That's your thing.
In Rocket League. And you know what he said? He said, well, nah.
Yeah.
It's kids, but it's whatever they want.
If they don't love doing it, they're not going to have fun doing it.
Right.
Being that you write for a newspaper, are you guys must get like comments and stuff from your audience,
Definitely.
and people that just go on and maybe look on whatever section and start commenting nasty stuff to you guys. Do you ever find like people commenting nasty stuff to you in particular, or is it like mostly about the content of the article or the players in the article or the teams or whatever?
Right. Most times it's there's a lot of negative negative comments on coaches, but I've had some people write personal stuff to me too as well. I usually answer them.
How do you take that though? Like, do you take it personally?
I try not to. When somebody says something, it does get your ire up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I will. It will irritate me, but I want to be heard and explain what they might not know. Mm-hmm. So I will always try to let them know what they might not know.
Are you a Facebook warrior?
I was big time.
Yeah.
On all kinds of politics and stuff, but mm-hmm. It's definitely those are the old days.
Those are the old days. Yeah, because like it doesn't matter like having a Facebook war with someone that in most cases you don't even know this person personally, right? And they post some dumb stuff, and everybody out there is commenting on their comment or their post or something like that, and they want to get into an argument about stuff,
right? And it trails off into different what do you call it, tangents, and people get off the subject, and then people start hurling insults. And
so what made you stop being such a commenter or poster on Facebook?
Well, let's start with why I was. I took my opinion seriously, and I had an argument to give, and mm-hmm. I thought that I could make my point, and whether people agreed with it or not it didn't matter. But I wanted them to at least know where I was coming from. But I found many times people didn't really want to fully understand, mm-hmm. and if they did, that was good. But a lot of times you're really fighting for something, and it's not really, doesn't really mean anything. People told me that when I got on Facebook, watch out for that. And I didn't.
Yeah, because it doesn't change. Like winning that argument or making your point on Facebook or any other social platform. Like, what does it matter anymore? Like I've like tried to draw back and not read the comments of stuff a lot of times. So it kind of surprises me that, like you said, like usually coaches and stuff will get picked on or something like that. Like, do the coaches respond to that? Do they read those comments?
Some of them read them, and some of them don't like it, and they let us know. And we, have to be careful. We try to be careful. Sometimes we're not so careful we let some comments go through that maybe shouldn't go through. I don't know exactly why. I'm not really part of that, but we're pretty liberal with letting people have their say.
Yeah.
If it gets really rude, then it'll be.
Then you guys will yank it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always a good thing. Good idea to administer like your websites or social platforms or blogs or anything like that. Because you never know. It's like it seems like it's the dummies out there that are posting mean comments. It's like why do that? Like you're just being a jerk at that point.
Right. I was mentioning this a little earlier. How one of my coworkers said I told him a coach didn't like something that went on the comments, and mm-hmm. He said he questioned me. He reads the comments? Why would he do that? And then I was like, I don't know, but he does. And then he said, you read those comments, it's like going to the gates of hell just to see what it looks like.
Yeah, don't read the comments, people, if you post and stuff. Yeah, because it's like an actor reading the reviews. It's like, don't do that. Just do your job. Just do your stuff. Stay in your lane. Get criticism from the people that matter, like your bosses, your coworkers, your family, your friends, that kind of thing. Don't worry about these comments from people that don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Right. And it's just sore spot for some of them. And I understand that, but you're right. It doesn't mean a hill of beans usually, these coaches are working really hard to do what they feel is right. And to get any kind of criticism, it's like, who the are you?
Right. It's almost like when parents are criticizing the coach. It's like, well, why aren't you coaching?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to criticize a coach that much, what are you doing to help the program? Maybe not so much in high school sports, but definitely like in the recreational sports as kids. Like, they're volunteer parents or parents that are volunteering to coach. Don't criticize them that much because you're sitting over there on the sideline watching. Like, if you think you can do better, sign up and go do better.
Yeah, and be a referee.
Or be a ref, yeah.
Boy, about 5 years ago, I went to a UH basketball game, and I could not believe how every single foul, the fans were just all over the ref. And I was like, I was actually shocked. I couldn't believe. I mean, like I said earlier, basketball is not my thing, so I haven't gone to a ton of basketball games. But I wanted to turn around and say, they do foul once in a while.
Yeah. That's why we love hockey. Like,
you can get away with some
you
stuff.
can hack a guy and get away with it. Well, a little bit.
Plus, I have the grandfather rule.
Mm-hmm.
I can, once in a while knock people down and they won't call it because
you're old.
Yeah.
That is a grandfather rule.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I got a few years before I can start pulling that, I think. That's a good rule, though, the grandfather rule.
couple years.
That's one of the reasons I like lacrosse, because it's still a really small and upcoming sport here. So when parents sign up their kids, the parents don't necessarily know much about the sport.
Right.
So they're a lot less likely to criticize the coaching because they don't know what the hell's going on either, right? So it's like, well, I mean, at least we have a coach, and my kid is having fun playing a sport. Yeah, so there's not a whole lot of criticism with lacrosse yet here. And did you know in lacrosse around the country, the sideline can get a penalty, or the team can get a penalty for rowdy parents and stuff?
Oh, okay.
If you're cursing out the ref and stuff like that, yeah, they can penalize you and they can kick the parent out of the game.
Right. Nice.
They can make you leave the field. They'll stop the game and make the parent leave.
Yeah.
Yes, way to go, lacrosse.
Good job.
Yeah, because I've seen some high school basketball games and some parents are kind of rowdy and hollering and like just saying some dumb stuff to the ref. And it's like, oh my God. And dumb stuff to like the other team too. It's like, ugh, don't be that parent.
Yeah, they always say before the game, let the coaches coach and let the refs ref and whatever. And it helps to hear it, I guess. But you're always going to get it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. The only time I think it's legitimate is when like it's a safety issue, when like someone's being dangerous on the field or the court or the rink or wherever the sport is, and the ref's not doing their job, the coach isn't doing their job, then somebody's got to step in before somebody gets hurt. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that, but I'm not okay with like yelling at the coach because your kid isn't playing. It's like, hey, maybe your kid just ain't good enough. Like maybe he's got an attitude,
Right. Or ready. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing that football coaches go through. Some kids show up and they need to prepare a long time before they can see playing time, and some parents don't quite get that
because they think their kid's like a superstar. It's like, like what I was thinking with the esports thing. So your prototypical athlete, male or female, they have like an athletic build or what have you, and they've grown up playing sports, so they know the sport and everything like that. And I'm thinking the esports player is probably not that prototypical athlete, right? But that's at least something to get them involved, right? But at the same time, even though you're playing like esports or bowling or chess, like those are all great, but you should do something physical also. Always
Right.
have something physical. You don't have to be good at it, but you know what I always tell my kids is that you have to exercise your body just as much as your brain, and you have to exercise your brain just as much as your body. You have to have some sort of balance right there, right? You can't just be a jock and exercise only your body and forget about your brain. And on the same token, you can't just exercise your brain and not exercise your body at all,
Right.
because that's the exact opposite of being a jock, right? So it's like, well, that's just as bad.
Right. Maybe in esports, maybe they can have them go out and run a couple laps just for, you know, keep them active in that way too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe they don't need to do it in esports, but they should like do esports or bowling or chess or anything like that, but also play like a sport, whether it be tennis or basketball or something. It doesn't have to be like super great and you don't have to be good at it, but have something where it's going to get you outside, outdoors, or in the water doing something physical
Right.
with your body. Because you have a son, right?
Yeah, I have two,
You have two boys?
and a girl,
A boy and a girl.
and well, two boys and one girl. Yeah.
Oh, so you got three.
Right.
Okay, so what do they play? Do they play sports?
My daughter was a cheerleader and she did some gymnastics. She's out of college now. My middle child son did cross country and played hockey, and my youngest does cross country and he played hockey for a little while. He hasn't been playing, and soccer. He played soccer too. But it's good it's really great when they're active, in my opinion, like you said.
What I like is those sports where you can continue playing those sports well into your adulthood, like hockey, like lacrosse, like basketball, like soccer, because they have adult soccer leagues and stuff like that.
Yep.
Football, not so much. Like football, once you're done in high school, if you don't make it in college, you're probably never going to play football again.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting subject as far as football, where it's headed, and as well, like with the concussions and stuff too.
Yeah, there's been like a steady decline of participation across the country in football because of that. Because not just concussions, but like that's one of the highest. It's one of the sports with the highest rates of injury, whether it be not just your head, but
Right.
like breaking your legs, breaking your collarbone, breaking your hurting, injuring your knee, your ankles, all that stuff. It's hardcore, man.
I know. The two really good quarterbacks that have gone on to play nationally known, Mackenzie Milton from Mililani and Tua Tagovailoa from St. Louis with Alabama and UCF. They've both got hurt. Mackenzie really, really seriously. He's trying to make a comeback. It's pretty close to the time we should be checking back on him, see how he's doing. But and then Tua, that they were really concerned about his hip.
Mm-hmm.
But an interesting story with Tua. When he was a sophomore, all of a sudden he started a game over his senior starter, and it was a surprise. But nobody knew who he was, and the senior starter was an all-star the year before. His name was Ryder Coons, I think. But I remember being out on the golf course with a couple coworkers, and one of them said, "Hey, check on this Tua Tagovailoa guy," which it's not pronounced Tago.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know. We didn't know it was Tagovailoa, which brings up a whole nother subject. People on the mainland don't know how to pronounce it exactly.
Right.
So sure enough, I called the coach, Cal Lee, and I just said, "Hey, this Tua guy, what's up? Why is he starting?" And he said, I said, "Is he going to start next week?" He goes, "Yep." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, he's the guy." And my coworkers were like, "Really? I mean, how can you be a sophomore and replace an all-star?" So we were like, "Wow, what is this kid?" And then as the season went on, at the end, I can remember close to the end of the year, one of my coworkers said, "Hey, what do you think of this Tua kid? He's really good." "Yeah." And was like, "Yeah. Have you seen better?" Maybe not,
Yeah.
And so sure enough, I mean, and Mackenzie Milton just had the right combination in high school and college to run and pass. he wasn't going to necessarily become a runner in college, although he did, and that helped him get to where he got. But it was also very accurate, both of them.
Yeah, it's sad to happen with Mackenzie Milton, but we'll see. And with Tua, we wish him well. And with the St. Louis Crusaders, wish you guys the best of luck tomorrow. Yeah. When do they play? What time?
It's 4:30 on Saturday. Tomorrow.
Okay. So we'll have results of that probably before we even get the podcast out there
Right.
to everybody. But maybe we'll have a follow-up sports podcast on the results or something.
Put a little something down at the bottom. A little.
They won.
Yeah.
They
with
lost.
the score. Right.
No, we're not going to think negative. We're going to think positive. Think
They
positive.
won.
Think positive. They won.
They won, everybody.
They won. Positive vibes, man. All right, Nick. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming on. It's
Thank
been
you.
great. Learned a lot about Hawaii Prep World. And for you guys who don't know, go to HawaiiPrepWorld.com. You see that little name by Nick Abramo. That's this guy right here. And as always, stay happy, Hawaii.
Thanks a lot. Aloha.
All right, man.
Hey, all right.